I've made nearly 700 YouTube videos recommending FIFA career mode save ideas. Maybe you've watched my video where I played as Manchester City, but today we're turning the tables. I've read dozens of your career mode saves and I've picked the 8 best, and I'm going to rate them based on how good I think they really are. All of the saves you're about to watch in today's video were first posted over on my Discord server, so if you're interested in being in a future video, make sure you join with the link that's in the description below. Don't forget to play along and post your ratings in the comments below, or head over to the new Discord channel and vote so we can find the best save of the year. But let's get started, and if there's one player I can't see being a good manager, it's probably Jamie Vardy. But still, Hidden has given it a go, and it turns out maybe I'm wrong. This multiple season story sees Vardy move between continents and eventually end up managing a team in the Champions League who wear blue, but maybe not the team that you're expecting. Vardy's managerial career began with Newcastle, the one in Australia, not the one in the northeast, and with no Australian League title since 2008, Hidden was hopefully about to change that. In Season 1, Newcastle would reach the Australian League semi-finals, but before the end of Season 2, there were rumours that Vardy was about to move to Venezia. That didn't quite pan out, but instead Jamie Vardy would move to New York to manage the Red Bulls. After a very successful set of seasons in the USA, finally Porto would decide to give him a chance at the highest level. While of course Australia and America both speak very good English, it is quite funny to imagine Vardy speaking Portuguese. With Porto, the success just keeps coming, and they won the league and the cup in his first season, as well as reaching the semi-final of the Champions League. Overall, the save was pretty good, so let's rate Vardy's managerial career. As always, I'm going to be ranking every save in 4 areas and then giving a combined total. We're going to look at how realistic the save is, how difficult it seems, how fun it seems, and how original the save idea was. I think you'll probably agree with me that the realism and the difficulty seem a little bit lower than the average rating when it comes to all the other saves that I've reviewed this year, so that's why the ratings look like that. But when it comes to the fun and it comes to the originality, I think that this is actually a really good save. Moving around countries is always a good idea in your career mode to keep it feeling fresh, and the idea of Jamie Vardy doing it as well is really interesting. Overall, it's a really cool save to read, even if it wasn't going for realism. That's why we've given it quite a high score, and thank you for submitting your save. Now, on to our next save, and some leagues on FIFA are criminally underused. One of them in my opinion is Romania, which I believe was the last new European league to be added to the game. Thankfully though, Bontu has created Baia Mare, so we can finally find out what it's like to play in Romania. Baia Mare are one of the oldest clubs in the country and also Bontu's local team, so there should be a lot of insider knowledge we can learn about this club while reading this save thread. The idea behind the save is something that I have seen done a couple of other times. You might have seen Red Bull Paris, Red Bull Leeds, Berlin, Madrid, and so on, but you'll never have seen a Red Bull Baia Mare. The save idea and the squad composition are 2 of the reasons I've actually included this in the video. Rather than building a team of wonder kids, Baia Mare were building an experienced team of players over 30 years old, which I did find a really fun idea. The length of this submission is proof that Romania can be a really fun place to try. While the rest of the save was your typical start at the bottom and slowly build your way up road to glory, there was actually a really interesting season-long battle for the title in year 2 with FCSB. And even in these smaller leagues, a title battle is just as fun against FCSB as it would be against Real Madrid or Liverpool in the Premier League or La Liga. Personally, I can't wait to try a save in a smaller country after reading through this thread. But enough about the save, let's rate it instead. So starting out with realism and difficulty again, I think the difficulty was actually quite good in this save. The build-up was slow and the team was always about the right rating. The realism as well, the transfers do seem to be something that Romanian clubs would be able to do, while the originality and the amount of fun that I can see in the save were both very good too. And thank you Bontu for sharing your hometown club with us over on Discord. For our next save, it is no secret that I love the MLS, but it is slightly more of a bigger secret that I do think Dempsey is my favourite FIFA player of all time. When I saw that Earth had combined an MLS career with Dempsey, I knew that I had to include it. To make things even better, everything about this save was realistic, from the squad rules to the salary cap, and that made the save truly unique. The goal of the save was to try and make history. In the entirety of the MLS, only one manager has ever won the MLS at the same club as a player and a manager. Could Dempsey be the next man to do it? Well, if Earth was going to do it, things were going to be tough. Everyone in the squad was given the correct MLS squad roles. De La Vega, Rusinek and Morris took up the important DP slots, and that meant that there was going to be a rebuild without signing someone like Griezmann or Giroud. The Sounders qualified for the playoffs in Season 1, and before they could even play a game, De La Vega backstabbed the club and announced he was leaving for Leverkusen. But still, he started in the quarterfinals, which the Sounders won, and then in the semi-finals, that they also won. In the final, the game was taken away with no goals in the first 90 minutes, and I'll let the footage talk for itself.
Not the best clearance. Surely. Can they forge ahead? Oh yes!
With the season over and the cup lifted, Dempsey would then leave for Leeds, and now we're going to rate this save. Of course, for this one, realism is going to be very, very high. Following the MLS rules is something that I always really like to do, and I'm really glad that Earth has done it too. Reaching the playoff final with the Sounders in Season 1 isn't actually that unbelievable because the MLS is very evenly rated, and when it comes to fun and when it comes to save originality, they're also both quite good. Here's our final rating, and hopefully you agree, but as always, if you don't, let me know in the comments beneath the video. Even though it was only a season, that was a really fun save to read about, and I love the MLS submission, so thanks very much for sending this one in. For our fourth save, it's about a manager that I spoke about a few weeks ago, Knutsen, and I think he's one of the most interesting managers in the game. Finlay must agree, because he's decided to use the Norwegian as his journeyman on a tour of European football. It's another fun save that involves clubs from Norway, Netherlands, Italy, England and Spain, as Knutsen slowly tries to move between bigger and bigger clubs. As you'd expect, the first couple of seasons are with Bodo Glimt, before eventually he would move to AZ Alkmaar in a pretty realistic move. After a good season in Holland, winning the Dutch double, it resulted in another nice move to the Premier League with Bournemouth, before Napoli would poach him to lead a European charge. A couple of months later, Barcelona was Knutsen's most recent home, with the 6th season still underway on the thread now. I know we had the Jamie Vardy one earlier, but journeyman saves are something we don't see a lot in these save reviews. But the moves that Finlay made are really fun and also really realistic. I think that's the best kind of journeyman, because this is the kind of route that a real life manager would take. Sure, it's not quite as long as someone like Roy Hodgson's road to the top, but going from Scandinavia to Holland to Italy and eventually Spain is probably the best way to make the most of all of the leagues that are available inside career mode. So, yet again, let's rate this save. And again, I really do enjoy everything about it. I think the save idea is the strongest point here. Knutsen becoming a journeyman manager is a very fun and very original idea, while the realism of moving every single season maybe is a little bit too quick. We're going to downgrade it a tiny bit there, but the difficulty as well seems kind of realistic. It wasn't a domination when you were in Norway or in Netherlands. I don't think you win the Premier League when you were at Bournemouth, and when you're at Barcelona you are expected to be at the top end of the table. Overall, a really strong save, and thank you very much Finlay for sending it in. So, before we look at our final two saves, let's also go through some ones to watch. These saves might be too short to review or be a little bit unfinished, but there's still potential for a really fun thread if you do have a few spare minutes. So let's look at some of the saves that I couldn't fully review. And the first one is Girona Realism by Jack Frost. So you know how much I like realism, it's one of the main pillars of the Geografifa channel. If you like it too, then you will love reading about this save. Jack Frost has started a save rebuilding Girona with a really nice set of realistic rules. Of course, Girona are in the Champions League from Season 1, and after their first game against PSG, that's where the save is up to right now. It's a really short thread at the minute, but it's definitely one to watch, and I could see it being included if I was going to make more of these save reviews. Mahbod's Patrick Viera rebuild of Watford was another really good read that I found hard to summarise in the short time I give each save. If you want to watch someone rebuild a championship team with some really good transfers and really fun ideas, then also check that thread out as well. I'll leave links to every single thread I've talked about in the description below, so you can check them out if you just want to click a button and have a read. So, let's get into the final two saves we're going to review today. And there's something about creator club ideas that I absolutely love. The effort that goes into thinking of a fun save, spending time creating the team, and then sharing it all with me on Discord is amazing, and Tuowe has done exactly that. His save is even more unique because he spent 6 seasons in the Indian Premier Division, somewhere that I don't think I've actually reviewed a club on the entire time I've been doing this series. The Delhi Stallions were created with a pretty unique transfer policy. They were only allowed to sign players with an Islamic heritage. This came from the Saudi Arabian owners, and the entire backstory that you can see right here gives a huge amount of details as to why this save is worth reading. As you'd expect, it is a really long read, but worth doing if you have a spare 30 minutes. The plan was to become an Asian Champions League level team within 6 seasons, and Delhi were right on track. 27 to 28 was their first Indian Super League title, and they then three-peated, winning it 3 times in a row. And of course, this saw them qualify for the Asian Champions League. Sadly, during the 6th and final season, big name signings like Mehdi Taremi, the 35-year-old joining from Inter Milan, saw the finances kinda go down, and as part of the storyline, the club did what a few Indian teams have done in the past and went bankrupt. Before we rate the save, I feel like I've also got to talk about the documentation that came with this save. Every team had a rivalry level assigned, which could have turned into something truly unique, but really it just affected how aggressively Tuowe played with slide tackles and things like that. If you did this kind of thing but turned up the difficulty for rival matches, that could be a really fun idea for one of your saves in the future. Anyway, let's rate this save, and while it was a very long save, I do think the transfers in general were quite realistic, but of course the big names joining the Indian Super League at the time probably aren't the best. I mean, Mehdi Taremi is a big name, and I can see why a Saudi Arabian-owned club would be interested in signing him, but I don't think the relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia are really that positive when it comes to spending big amounts of money on a player like that to join a club in India. So we're going to go a little bit lower for rating there, but the difficulty seemed good. You were slowly building up. It took 3 seasons to win the Indian Super League. The save idea itself is totally unique. No one has ever made this team probably in the history of FIFA, and also I thought it must be fun if you played 6 seasons. That's why we've rated it like this, and thank you so much for sharing this save with us. I think we all enjoyed learning a bit more about it. So for the final time, we're now going to review one more save. Transfers are something that is super important to get right if you want your save to be fun, and that's why I've included Aero's Leipzig save, because he's done exactly that. When I was reading through the thread, I found myself agreeing with basically every single move, and even though this save is only a season long, I thought it was worth sharing in this video. I think the best thing about this save is the transfer rules that were posted in one of the first posts. The new Leipzig transfer policy focused on signing young, under-23 technical players who could perfectly fit into a 4-3-3 tiki-taka tactic. Signing players for a tactic is something that way too many people ignore, and that's how you end up with Ibrahimovic playing up front for Barcelona. It wasn't only signings though, sales also had a policy to keep the save more fun. Every single player was allowed to be sold for a profit, and this included a rule that automatically sold a player if there was a bid of 20 to 30 million over their transfer value. I think that amount fits Red Bull so much. They're a good talent factory, and they're always going to get big bids in from the AI. Away from the rules though, the save also looked quite fun. The rules did help, but Leipzig would qualify from the Champions League at the end of Season 1 with a tiki-taka style working almost perfectly. So, now we can rate this save, and I appreciate I didn't talk too much about the gameplay for this one, but the difficulty just seemed right. The table looked really believable. Realism was also good from the signings, the save seemed quite fun, and the save idea has definitely been done in the past though. If you want to make your next save more fun, I would recommend following Aero's transfer ideas. I know that I would be definitely giving them a go, but that was the final rating, and that was also the final save we're reviewing in today's video. Make sure to go through all of the saves and leave your comments below. I'd love to read them, or head over to Discord where you can rate it, and maybe in the future we'll put out a video ranking every single review that we have done in this series. But thank you so much, really do appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.